Hey everybody, welcome back to the Unqualified Filmbros podcast. Aidan returning after a one episode hiatus.
Good to
Of
be
course,
back.
you know Max and you know Benjamin Prime, but I'm back too. Anyway, we're talking about Transformers One, the prequel and I think seventh or eighth film in the series.
It's
But
it's
really,
not in the
really,
series though.
it could
Yeah.
stand alone, yeah. Um, but yeah, let's get into it. Transformers One.
Yep.
What do you guys think?
So as the resident diehard Transformers fan here, yeah, like Ben said, well, it's kind of it is pretty much a standalone movie. Like I don't expect much of what happened in this one or any potential like other animated sequel to show up in any of the live action ones we see down the road. But I really went into it. Well, first from the first preview, it seemed very goofy, very kiddish. Um, but came around to it, I thought I was going to wind up seeing it anyway. And then my second concern was really just like we all know kind of how the conflict over there goes, right? It's the Autobots lose, or Cybertron at least is destroyed, and they all have to leave. So I was really thinking, how are they going to make a kids movie out of such a depressing premise? And the answer, of course, is not by, or even just, I think we all know that Megatron's going to turn evil by the end of it. Um, so how do they make that sound okay? And I think they did a really good job. I won't necessarily say pleasantly surprised because it seemed like the movie was doing pretty well, but yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was some discussion amongst the three of us, Ben and George, as to whether or not we wanted to do this. It was kind of a short-lived discussion, but it was a discussion nonetheless.
I
Um,
overruled.
Overruled for sure.
And you know what? I'm
And I think
I'm glad that
it's
I
for the
went along.
best. Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was for the best. This was definitely one that was not fully on my radar, but it was one that I was like, probably gonna go see even if we didn't do it. Because I do like the Transformers movies. I think they're a lot of fun. And having this one kind of be a prequel to the rebooted version with Anthony Ramos, it could serve as the prequel to even the original three or four or five, right? Like it is still important that we know the backstory of how these two seminal characters in Transformers know each other, what their relationship is, and I think this film actually does a fantastic job of showing us that relationship. And it'll be interesting to see them introduce Megatron. I don't think he was in Rise of Beasts, right? That was different.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that
I mean, it'll be interesting to see when he's introduced in the new live action ones with I guess, the G.I. Joes too. How they do that
Oh
and what
yeah,
that
I
is
forgot
like.
about that.
I assume there's going to be threads of but I don't think it will be a direct response to this movie, like Aidan said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also, like you said, I mean, it can serve as a prequel, but also I wanted to do it because I knew it would be its own thing. I knew the animation would be good, some by Industrial Lights and Magic, um, and it just seemed like a cool premise. And it was exactly what I wanted it to be. Obviously, it's a kids movie. Um, I'm not the biggest fan of kids movies. Max can tell you that. I hate fun, but
It's fun.
this one was, it was something that I was interested in. I like Transformers, not as much as Aiden, but I find them fun. And I really enjoyed it. I knew it was going to be a comedy. I knew it was going to be like a buddy cop thing for half the time. Um, and yeah, there was no complaints. It's not like the most evolved, complex movie ever, but it's just fun. It works. Unlike Lightyear, we also did that one. I think that was Pixar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Um, not
yeah,
their best.
it was a dud.
This one, so much better.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I
yeah,
absolutely.
sorry. You want to the joy of doing a podcast on Zoom.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so I missed Rise of the Beasts last summer because I was on set that whole week. so I couldn't get to the theater. I also had never seen any of the Transformers movies at that point,
You're,
so I
you're
didn't really
always
want to
missing
dive in
bangers
then.
like that and
Um,
Jurassic Park Dominion.
all right, because you're such a big fan of Locust, Ben, I'll elect to ignore that. Um, so I still had never seen any of the Transformers movies until yesterday. We're recording this on Monday, so Sunday. I had not seen any of the Transformers movies. I watched the original from 2007, Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. Um, very 2007, very 2000s action movie.
A product of
Uh,
its time.
It's
Most
awesome
definitely.
though.
And it's
it was great.
A lot of Megan Fox booty shots, though.
That is true.
Yes.
A little too much. I mean, she's attractive, I get it, but it seems a little
Nobody's ever accused Michael
away from the
Bay of
camera.
avoiding
Also,
that.
given that she's supposed to be what, like 16 or 17.
Stay,
Yeah.
stay away
So
from the camera when she's on, Michael Bay, please.
Yeah. But anyway, I went into the theater today, and we talked about how this is sort of like a kids movie. Seeing it on a Monday morning in September, I was alone in the theater. I was literally the only person in the room for the entire trailers, runtime of the movie, credits. It was, and I've had some really bad experiences with some of the movies we've done. Inside Out 2, Lightyear, Super Mario Bros. Movie. I have had bad experiences with kids running up and down the aisles with their light up shoes. To be sitting back row, dead center, watching this movie and its gorgeous animation was just a great way to spend my day off from work. And I enjoyed the movie. I thought the premise was good. I thought it could stand alone from the rest. I appreciate that I did the homework of watching the original one yesterday, and I will continue to watch the rest of the series. I'm in now.
Hell yeah.
good.
Just wait till you get to Anthony Hopkins and
Oh
whatever
my,
Oh
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
with his
Oh my.
robot butler.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
At some point, it seemed like they knew they had the budget, so they wanted to get the biggest, fanciest British actors to make them say like
Yeah.
Megatron and Energon as many times as they
I,
could.
I'm so happy Anthony Hopkins got paid probably like $50 million to do that shit.
Yeah. And that's a little bit of what I was worried about with this movie because it had a really great cast, and I was like, oh, are they doing the same thing that they did with making the fancy actors say stupid things? But it wasn't really that. I think the cast did really well. I mean, and they had a lot of good material to work with. Um, I'll say especially Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk about that.
Betasatron.
A-Tron was the best joke of the movie.
Yep.
That was a great one.
100%.
Yeah, I wonder how much they let him like how much was scripted and how much they're like just talk and annoy Scarlett Johansson's character.
I'm glad it felt like they didn't overuse him though. It's like they
Yeah.
spaced him out. It wasn't
Mhm.
just like all at once.
Yeah.
And
I
he was like the recurring joke rather than just having a bunch.
Yeah.
Mhm.
when
Um,
when he hit the second and third Betasatron, I lost it laughing. It was just, and I knew that I was the only person in the theater, so I was laughing loud. And it was just awesome. Great, great bit that they did just enough to make it really funny without overdoing it.
Yeah, well, I think the best part is when he does it like the fourth time, where he actually just kills a bunch of people with
Yeah.
knife hands. He's like,
The knife hands.
and that is pretty bad.
yeah.
Knife hands.
Yeah.
I was going to
I
say
do.
though,
Yeah, go
just
ahead, man.
just before, I was going to say, George, if you don't want to go to the theater alone, you can always build yourself a Steve to come with you.
True.
They were never alive.
Yeah. I did want to touch too on the like the element of like a really a curse that they've given Bumblebee with this portrayal of him because obviously his most famous trait aside from being yellow is the fact that he can't speak, that he has no voice and has to speak through the radio. So making him such a talkative character on purpose was, I mean, I think a pretty natural choice, but it really like if they do a sequel to this movie, I gotta think that's where Bumblebee gets his voice shot out. So that'll be, a good moment of
Sad.
pathos from this. Yeah.
They alluded to that when they were captured by the High Guard.
Yeah.
They couldn't get him to shut up.
Yeah, I
Um,
thought that was going to happen. Yeah, oh,
yeah,
that
and
was a great line. We're like,
I
even in
thought it was
this,
going to come
we're like,
back. I mean,
I
you
I
know,
thought the gag was just going to be how he doesn't talk anymore, and he's just been gagged this whole time.
I'm glad that they didn't do that. Yeah.
yeah,
However, they did mess up Starscream's voice. I think we're supposed to believe that's permanent. Because he gets choked by Megatron, I think.
hmm
Mhm.
And I guess their voice boxes work the same as ours do. Uh, because that now caused some kind of permanent vocal damage. Also, I forgot Steve Buscemi was in the cast, and I always kind of laugh when I see Steve Buscemi in anything. Not that he's not a serious actor, but his voice is just so unique.
yeah.
Uh, Having him be Starscream was a great
When
choice.
he showed up, because I remembered seeing his name just in the opening credits or on Letterboxd or whatever, so I knew he was in the movie. It just like you said, Aiden, it sort of took me out for a second. I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
Steve Buscemi. Um,
I,
this is a movie and he's doing voice work for it. But then
yeah,
I was just right back in.
yeah.
No, his
I'd
voice
love to
fit
imagine
really
him
well
as
for
Starscream in
Starscream though
live
too.
action. S- Uh, I don't know if you heard either what Max or I said. I didn't because we both
I
spoke at the same
didn't.
time. Okay.
Nope.
I would have loved to see him as Steve Buscemi as Starscream in any of the live action ones because that'd really take you out of it.
Well, those movies are already ridiculous. I feel like it's hard to take you out of it.
Yeah.
It's like
I mean,
anything can happen in
I
those.
mean,
it's also
Peter
better to
Cullen.
have Peter Cullen doing the voice of Optimus Prime than Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
even at the
first,
end of the movie, Hemsworth and he's he's got a great voice. His
Watch.
American accent that he does for the entire movie is not good.
I think he was
Probably the
trying to do a
weakest,
Peter Cullen impression.
probably. And
Yeah.
I think that the movie it takes away from
Whoever
this
you are, wherever you are, know
is like
that we will be watching.
Like
he's
he
pretty
got
good.
some of the notes, like he
Yeah.
got it in some parts, especially at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I was kind of thinking, he's becoming like the Optimus Prime, like maybe he'll change it or like and he
It,
did. He hit some of them, but
it
it did
sounded
kind
Or
of
a
maybe
come
bit
they'll just
out.
like
get Peter Cullen to do post
yeah.
transformation into Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
I
I would
kind of
love
thought
if
they were
they,
going to do that too. I
It,
was listening for,
yeah, if
it
they do
honestly
sequel,
sounded
that would
like
be
Benedict
nice.
Cumberbatch trying to do Doctor Strange. It's a very like almost British turned American sounding accent. Like he's overdoing it at times and then
Because I think
underdoing it.
Hemsworth first has to make the step from Australian to British, and then he has to go from British to American.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of translating there.
Yeah.
This is why he was so great in Furiosa, where he could just be his natural crazy
Yeah.
Australian self.
First time we get to use his Australian accent, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, just about.
But yeah,
Um,
I mean, it's his
plus,
first time doing something like that, so I think he did a pretty good job.
Brian Tyree Henry is fantastic as Megatron.
Yeah.
It
That
I
was
think,
makes sense for a
oh,
comedic
well,
act.
yeah,
Yeah, he did. I think uh, maybe the point of the movie where they lost me the most is I didn't see a ton of buildup to his turn. Like once they got their cogs, he was I like obviously that's where the change happened. I didn't feel like necessarily the conflicts. I guess no, I guess they did build
I
it a
think
little
the
bit.
idea was that he was so attached, like much more than Orion was, that he loved Sentinel Prime,
hmm
Yeah,
and that his betrayal was like a betrayal of everything he ever knew.
yeah.
hmm
And then I think the other note was um that he was so used to Orion dragging him around and getting him involved in stuff that now he's like, I have the power to not do the things I don't want to do anymore. Which
Yeah.
I would be interesting to watch like the first half or 2/3 of this movie, whatever it is, again, and just see how that transformation happens. Um,
I
knowing
think
themselves.
we see a lot of the strain on their relationship early on. Maybe not in the opening scenes, but like, for example, when they join the race, um, which did
That's
anyone else
fair.
get pod racing vibes from that?
Oh yeah,
Um, you could sort of see how, yeah, they're best friends, but clearly there's some resentment under the surface.
He's a very bipolar best friend. He's like, "Oh my God, this is the
Yeah.
worst idea ever, Orion. I want to kill you, and then I'm going to kill you again." And then a second later, "Oh my God, this is the best idea ever, Orion." So I
yeah,
agree. You can kind of see the cracks in their friendship, and then I guess when Sentinel Prime is revealed to be a traitor, then he loses his mind.
yeah.
But you
Which
can kind of see that.
yeah, Sentinel, I think,
Good.
with the most obvious fraudulent leader character in a
Oh
movie that
my God,
I've ever
yeah.
seen.
Was that John Hamm?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was, and at first I thought it was Channing Tatum. I could not peg John Hamm's voice for the life of me. I was like, is that Channing Tatum?
Yeah, it's very weird to hear all these people through the robot voice.
yeah. I thought
But it's
Scarlett
weird
Johansson
that
sounded like what's her name? Amy Sedaris.
I mean, who's that?
Yeah.
interesting.
She sounded kind of halfway between. She's
Mhm.
the woman from The Mandalorian
Ollie.
picks up
Um,
Wait,
Amy
sorry.
Sedaris.
She's a great comedic
Who?
actress.
Oh, okay. Actually, yeah. All right, I got you.
but then I heard enough Scarlett Johansson and I was like, no, there's no way they put Amy Sedaris in this movie over Scarlett Johansson.
Oh
No
yeah.
offense to Amy
I
Sedaris.
thought
I
that
already
that
knew she
Scarlett
was in
Johansson's
it.
voice was the one that they did the least with.
Yeah, I recognize that. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just kind of I don't
Like,
know.
Yeah.
I kind of get where you're now that you say it, Aiden.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
I
I
can
get where
hear
Julie
a little
was.
Amy
Yeah.
Sedaris in it a little bit now that you say it.
I
Hmm.
Um,
think I've also heard Scarlett Johansson like distorted a little bit in the
Hmm.
Avengers movies when she's talking through like comms or whatever. It
Right.
sounded pretty similar.
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
So yeah, that one was pretty easy. And then I knew the other actors were in it, and I just had to figure out which ones were which.
Yeah.
Keegan-Michael Keyes was also very obvious.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
very
Right from
obvious.
that first scene.
Yeah.
Turns out there
Uh,
are 10 more sub-levels than we thought. I guess they're really not worth talking about.
yeah, he was for sure like I will say it was like a kid movie, but he was for sure the character like for the kids the most that like the energy that he came into pretty much every scene with.
Yeah,
Comic relief character, if
that's
you will.
that's kind of his character. That's just what he's done for the longest
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Though
Um,
I laugh because I saw recently an interview that he said, Jordan Peele's going off to do more horror work, and he said, "I'm going off to do more
I
serious stuff."
saw that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Picked the wrong weekend to give that interview.
I don't
Yeah.
think this is a serious movie, but
But
yeah,
like,
Anthony
isn't that because
Hopkins
he
has
was
been in like
trained dramatically? Is
yeah,
that
yeah,
yeah.
he was like
yeah,
Juilliard,
yeah,
I believe.
yeah, yeah.
I would
And then
love to
immediately after,
see.
I saw the same thing, and I saw people saying like, "Oh, Jordan Peele should just cast him in his next movie,"
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
and like that'd be an interesting collaboration too.
Yeah,
Which it
new
would be.
dynamic
I
to a
mean,
familiar trope.
it would be. It'd be really interesting.
I wonder if it'd be hard to like coax him out of doing the thing that he's been doing with him for like 20 years, though. That might be tough.
I mean, it's worth a shot.
Yeah, why not?
He'd have to. I feel like he'd have to cast him in a serious comedic role, though.
Hmm.
I think that would
Yeah.
work.
yeah,
I mean, if Jordan Peele were to do like a comedy horror movie,
yeah. Which a lot of his have kind of had
They
that
kind
going.
of are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, a lot. Pretty much every one of them has
yeah.
decent amount of comedy. I guess Us maybe least, but
And Candyman too, but he didn't direct that even.
well,
So
he just sort of wrote that.
yeah.
anyway, Transformers.
I like it. It's
Hmm.
good.
Yeah, Me too.
Really good.
It's a
Uh,
kids movie, so there's not a ton going on. It's
no.
straightforward plot, but it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that.
I think one thing that we talked about was Sentinel, about him being the most obvious false prophet leader that we've seen in film. I think what we get with his characterization after the reveal is something we get a lot with these, as I said, false prophet type characters, where they are so much more obviously the bad guy after the reveal, where all subtlety is gone for us, the audience, because we know, but still within the world, I think the dialogue and characterization suffers as a result of, well, the audience knows, even though the other characters don't. And so I think
I don't know, man.
he was kind of a flawed character for me in the third act, and I loved the third act of this film. I thought the visuals of the battle, I thought the way that it was presented, all the different moving pieces fitting together, I thought it was really, really well done.
Look, in kids' movies, there is a common thread, which is the good guys are very obvious, the bad guys are very obvious because it's made for kids and they're not yet ready to develop really,
Mhm.
closer than that. And it's fine. In Lion King, we know. We know who the bad guy is. He's so obvious, and yet it's fine.
Yeah, he's
So I don't think that that's an
Rafiki.
issue. Huh?
Rafiki's the bad guy, right? He's the one always hitting people on the head. That's a bad guy thing to do.
That's the dude. That's the one.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it, like I don't think it really matters to a certain extent because what you really want to show once the reveal is done to the audience, like why are you going to keep stringing us along with, dialogue that kind of sounds like
Yeah.
they're trying to hide something? Like we know he's the bad guy. Don't insult
Yeah.
our intelligence too.
Again,
Like it's
everything is also like very
um
simple. So yeah.
yeah, but you kind of just I think part of the good is that you see the desperation from Sentinel Prime once the reveal because like you can see him he's trying like you see it especially when once it is officially revealed even though we kind of saw it coming when he's kneeling in front of the quintessons or whatever they're
Yeah, I
called.
mean, it's
Um
fairly logical. You
yeah.
understand what's happening.
Yeah. On the other side, though, I want to say I really loved, I mean, I also love the third act, and especially how you really had like three or four different sides fighting in that battle, which made like the alliances moment to moment seem like really interesting. So you had obviously the Autobots, you had Megatron's group, but like Megatron's like group of the High Guard, and then I think you had some other High Guard who were like not really aligned, and then obviously you had Sentinel and his kind of minions, and then you had obviously a bunch of pedestrians or civilians, whatever. Um, that I was really I caught myself a few times thinking in the theater like, oh, like who is actually like on the same side as who here? Because of course, scene to scene, moment to moment, like Optimus and Megatron obviously don't end as friends, but they
They get
have
through the movie.
yeah, and same with the High Guard people, who it seems like mostly sided with the Decepticons. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed that part of it too. And I guess, and especially because some of the, I think some of the um, Sentinel people are future Decepticons. Like I know Soundwave and Shockwave are like pretty standard Decepticon characters.
Mhm.
But I think the Arachnid character is as well. And I was like this movie doesn't have to do that. Like we don't have to see them these versions of these characters get all the way through like the live action Transformers movies, whatever they
Mhm.
like either the ones that have already been made or the ones that are coming out. But it would be really interesting to see the other Sentinel supporters. Like I would assume the Megatron people would generally want to kill them, but maybe, if they follow the same way that the High Guard people do, um, would be an interesting thing to see. Um, and I don't know if they will make a sequel to this movie because it seems like it'd have to end with the planet being destroyed, but I would like to see it. Um, and maybe maybe the movie just actually ends with them landing on Earth. That's probably what would happen. So you could still have that optimistic note, but
Mhm.
yeah.
But we haven't seen
Picking up
Cybertron destroyed in a movie. I don't think like we haven't seen like the war for Cybertron.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of Batman's parents. Like we never actually see it die.
That's true. Also, I feel let down by Unicron in the live action, so I
Yeah,
don't think they redo
Oh
that.
God, yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, and Primus. Um,
Oh yeah,
yeah, because I know in various versions they've actually like especially the TV show that I grew up, which is not the OG one from the 80s. There was some other one that was on in the 2000s. Um, that had Primus like as a character. And I really would have. I mean, this movie didn't have to do everything. It's good that it didn't try to.
yeah, no,
But
that's completely fine. No, this is a complaint for live action, so it's
okay, yeah,
unrelated.
yeah, because there was one very good Unicron thing at the end of one movie, and then nothing happened.
No, and then they turned Earth into Unicron.
Wait, no, I think that was the very last of the
I think that was the Anthony Hopkins one.
Yeah, it
yeah,
was.
yeah, which is the last one in like that version of the universe.
So
Yeah,
they got Merlin in that one. Earth is Unicron. Crazy movie, man.
yeah, that was an
Yeah,
insane.
George, you gotta
George, you gotta watch
watch
these.
these. It's four more. None. No, two more. The next two are good.
Yeah,
The two after that are very much
yeah,
not.
yeah. Dark Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon are good, and then the Mark once Mark Wahlberg shows up,
The
it goes
Last
downhill.
Night.
Oh,
Last night,
Last
Age of
night,
Extinction, but not in that order. I
yeah,
think it's
yeah,
Age of Extinction and then Last Night.
I think that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a night with a K.
Anyway,
They
The
are not.
Last Night is actually probably my favorite because of how bad it is. It's
okay.
so
I'm gonna remember
bad.
that for Ben. I'm gonna remember that for the end of December when you say that Madam Web was your favorite movie of the year.
No, it's not actually. It's it's so bad. It's
it is so
unbelievably
bad.
bad. And you have
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins there, so it's even more confusing. And John
So
Turturro is in all of these movies, and he's
Yeah,
like
Yeah,
Academy Award nominated actor.
I know. For him to be the through line and not Shia LaBeouf is crazy.
Incredible.
Yeah, I guess Michael Bay is the through
certainly
line.
a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
it
Peter Cullen.
definitely is.
So where does this movie stack? I know it's not, fully connected to any of the other movies, as we've said. Where would this movie stack up? I'm not asking you guys to do a ranking, but is it towards the top of the
Oh,
Transformers
for
movies,
sure.
towards the bottom?
Yeah,
Number one.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
Number
in
Ben's
one.
terms of like
favorite Transformers movie.
objectivity. Yeah, it's the best movie I think.
It's the best. It's the best made one. I mean, Michael Bay's great. They're fun, but this is definitely the best made one.
Yeah,
yeah. I would say it's up there with the '07 one for me. Like it's hard for me to put it ahead of that one just because the live action
Fair.
launch and I not grew up with it, but like
I know.
it came out when I was 11, so I just have a very fond place in my heart for it. Um, but yeah, it's I mean it's obviously better than the last two that we were talking about, and I think it's just with each of those live action movies, the extra connection that has to get made between Earth and the Transformers is more ridiculous. Like one thing accidentally finding its way here, fine. Five times some ancient Cybertronian artifact crashed.
This asteroid just landed in the orbit. Oh my God! There's another Transformer in it.
And
How have we
wouldn't
not
you
discovered
know,
these things before?
it's even more remarkable than the last one.
And the
Yeah.
budget gets
Um,
bigger and the product gets bigger.
yeah.
Do you
Look,
guys think
this
that
the
the
explosions are always awesome. That will never be a disappointment.
that's true.
Even in the worst
Like
of them,
space
they will
fish.
always be awesome.
Kaboom! And that and Megan Fox booty shots.
Oh my God.
Two classic Michael Bay techniques.
It's a
That is
second
true.
second reference from Ben.
Vic,
Do you guys think that
did you
the
watch the movie?
I did watch the movie. Uh, do you guys think that the animated quality of this film gives it its sort of strength in your opinion of it, or do you think like a live action version of this story would have been better?
I
No,
think
no.
for this story with absolutely no humans, doing it live action would be a tremendous waste of time and money. I think I'd wanted to mention something about this that having it animated, it felt like you really can connect with the Transformers characters in a way that you don't in a live action movie, with the exception of like Optimus and Bumblebee and Megatron, who are really the only through lines in every movie. Um, yeah, I think the this humanizes them, obviously, in a way. Like we see their whole society, we see them like just much more close up. Like it's hard for me to get that same sense of scale where when you see it next to a human and you see that, the Transformer is 30 feet tall, the human is 6 feet tall, whatever, versus when you're only seeing the Transformers, you kind of just naturally adjust to, oh, they're human size,
Hmm.
which I think that in and of itself just does a lot because you can just fit them all in a shot much more easily than if you also have to try to fit a human.
Like
Also,
when
I
they were
feel
in
like
like when Optimus became Optimus and he was like doing his rallying speech in the locker or whatever, you could, I mean, you'd see how much bigger he had gotten.
Right.
And that's, yeah.
the other
But
thing is I really feel like the CGI is good in the Transformers movies,
oh yeah.
but it's definitely it's not like the same, and you have that visual difference. And also, it's not like motion capture or anything. I don't believe it is. I think I think
No,
I
I
they're
don't
don't think
think
so.
so.
they're mostly just doing that. So
Yeah.
yeah, you don't actually get like the expressions and stuff. Here, you actually get people animating them. You can see the expressions. You can see like facial expressions on
Facial expressions
Transformers,
are really very
Yeah.
like really well done in this.
Hmm.
and that does a lot. I mean, facial expressions are how we express ourselves in everyday life. So to not have it in a movie means that you, like Aiden said, you can't really connect with it. It just doesn't seem human.
Yeah. Um, yeah, just it was a really good well done movie. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily going to win an award, but oh, well,
No,
actually animation stuff it might.
I mean,
it might get nominated.
animated
Yeah.
feature, like
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
best animated movie is
only
Yeah.
I think they get
like
animated.
you'll probably see Inside Out 2 there,
yeah.
but is there really another animated movie from this year that has a chance?
Yes, the
Like,
Wild Robot.
oh yes, Wild Robot.
Yes, the Wild Robot's
Yes,
gonna win,
The Wild Robot should
um,
win.
but I
it
think it's
should.
gonna get nominated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think because it's usually five nominees. I don't think that there will be five animated films better than this one this year.
No, probably
But
not.
those are the top three. I
Yeah.
mean, really, Inside Out
Yeah,
2, um,
Yeah,
Wild
Transformers 1.
Robot in this.
Yeah. Like those probably are going to be the three that are going to be in the running for this all year. And it probably won't be very close, even with those
Wild
three.
Robot's
Yeah.
beautiful.
They should have done a crossover. Hopefully at the Oscars they do.
I saw a comic
There
where
might be a
Optimus
window for
Prime
that.
Yeah.
steps on a deer. I saw this on Twitter. So I don't think the Wild Robot would like Optimus. Maybe they'd fight after he steps on the deer.
What if we see the Inside Out characters inside Megatron's head at the Oscars?
There we go.
Yep.
Yep. It's a good
I think we
one.
found it.
Yep.
All right,
All the negative ones: doubt, fear,
Anxiety.
anxiety,
but only
insecurity.
voiced by
Probably
Maya Hawke.
nostalgia for the good times under when he didn't know that Sentinel was a bad guy.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
Cult
Transformers
follower.
get crushes, you think? Do they have how to
that'll probably be Inside Out 3.
yeah.
All right. We've said probably all we can about Transformers 1. We all enjoyed it. It's a very good movie. You should go see it, whether you're in a packed theater or flying solo.
One more question though before we leave. So to copy what I think you guys did from last week, favorite kill?
I don't know. It's a kids
Um,
movie, Aiden.
okay.
I mean, it's got to be knife hands, right?
Probably.
Anytime Bumblebee spins around
Yeah.
Yeah,
accidentally and
I'll
kills
take
somebody.
that. I don't know.
I'll
It's a
take that one.
specific kill, but
Great question.
I mean, Megatron ripping Sentinel in half was pretty good too.
they're not dead guys. They're on a special farm where Transformers go when they die.
Yep.
I mean, when
When
they
they go
go
away.
there, when they go away.
Yep. Do when they go upstate to the surface.
Yeah,
True.
upstate is just the surface.
This is a PG movie, guys.
Oh, well, that was just another brief thing is the surface of the planet being so like shifting. I love that they actually didn't explain that fully. Uh
It's a Transformers movie. The planet's transforming. I don't know. It seems
Yeah,
good.
no, exactly. So that's something else they could do before destroying the planet if they want to do a sequel of this. Transformers 2.
That's true.
Like this is just gonna be like Avatar to the way water, but better, where they explore the surface in
Mm.
those
Hell
second.
no, it can't be better. James
This movie
Cameron
was
is
better than both, was more enjoyable than both Avatar movies.
I definitely.
Easily. All right.
he's my king.
We will see you next week for Megalopolis, Francis Ford Coppola,
Was
giving
Megan
the
Fox in that one?
futuristic New York City a hint of a Roman epic. Aidan, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Always talk Transformers. Come on with you guys. See you in a couple years for the whenever the next one comes out with G.I. Joe.
Word
Yeah,
sounds good. All right. Megalopolis next week. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
bye.